Recently, we've seen that the Verfassungsschutz has released this extremely important document about secular, pro-Palestinian extremism. This is an insight into how they think. It's actually very telling of what the Verfassungsschutz is actually thinking. And spoiler alert, I think Germans should be really scared of how mediocre their thinking and reasoning is. It says here that the secular pro-Palestinian extremism in this country is extremely heterogeneous and consists of different organizations, movements, networks, and individuals. Now, the first thing that they're saying is that this movement is a lot wider. It's very wide, it's very representative of a lot of people. It's heterogeneous and consists of so many organizations, networks, and individuals. And the first question you have to think about is it possible that maybe all these people see something that your limited mind does not see? Why are they so heterogeneous? In addition to organizations that have existed for decades and have been fighting for an independent Palestinian state for just as long, it's almost like it's delegitimizing this fight. They're saying they're fighting for a free Palestinian state, and maybe Germans reading this will think, oh wait, they're fighting for a free Palestinian state, that's bad. And I don't know how it relates to the German dogma, to be honest. Like, to me that reads like a confession of a legitimate call, right? Immediately after the Hamas attacks, the pro-Palestinian protests in Germany developed extremely dynamically, analogous to the situation on the ground. You know, really accepting that the situation on the ground is horrid, right? That's kind of a confession there. And then they're saying, but they became more permanent. But nothing has changed. Like, why are they so surprised? That's so weird. Secular pro-Palestinian extremists regularly deny Israel's right to exist. And this is going to be a recurring theme. The dogmatic approach of the Verfassungsschutz is this Israel's right to exist. That right does not exist. I understand people desiring Israel to exist. I understand people wanting it to continue to exist in its current form of apartheid and so on. But this right to exist is something that is taken for granted. And I think I've heard it, even judges saying it, as something fundamental. It's this right did not even this idea of the right did not even come from the inception of Zionism or post-World War II. It came in the confrontation of Israel and the Arab states in 1967, and it was propaganda that is adopted. So if you look into the history, there is no such thing as this right, not in the German law, not in international law. It is only a wish and an ideology. So we have the Verfassungsschutz and the German state having an ideology that they want Israel to continue existing in its current form. Like, a lot of Palestinians have said, well, call it Israel, but give us equal rights. You know, don't occupy us, don't treat us as second-class citizens. So this, this fixation and ignorance of this, like, where does that right come from, is very evident in what they're talking about here. This form of extremism, okay, this is really important. This form of extremism is characterized by the fact that Israeli policies and actions of the Israeli security forces towards the Palestinian population triggers strong negative emotions towards Israel among some of the supporters, sometimes personally or family affected. If you react to it, you're an extremist. Alleged criticism of the Israeli state often also conceals anti-Semitic agitation, as no distinction is made between Israel's state actions and the Jewish religious community. It is actually this secular movement that continuously distinguishes between Israel and Judaism, Zionism and Judaism, the government and people. No distinction is made between Israel's state actions and the Jewish religious community is actually what Germany is guilty of, because there are anti-Zionist Jews who are beaten up by the police that Germany does not acknowledge. Later on, they refer to it as well. The term collective Jew is used in anti-Semitic discourses to portray Jews as a homogeneous group with supposedly common characteristics and goals rather than seeing them as individual human beings. This is a footnote. So here, in this example, they're saying, well, here the anti-Semitism is directed at the state of Israel. Crazy, right? Anti-Semitism directed at the state of Israel is a non-factual statement, guys. You know, get someone who understands logic to help you write this stuff, you know, which in the anti-Semitic world is considered a collective Jew. Who is actually looking at Israel as the collective Jew? Who is homogenizing Jewish people in Germany by attacking anti-Zionist Jews, by falsely claiming that Jüdische Stimme, you know, is an extremist group, something that the court saw was completely ridiculous, no evidence. This is what's happening inside, and you know, the question we have to ask ourselves here is, who is directing the Verfassungsschutz and who is making these determinations? Because this level of ignorance should make people really concerned. Hamas triangle. Now, here's an issue here. Also factually incorrect. First of all, this is not the Hamas triangle, because the triangle predates Hamas. And secondly, here they say the symbol was originally used as a target marker in Hamas propaganda videos. That's actually inaccurate. The symbol was originally used to point to an IED. That was the first time it was used. Of course, the Intifada, people who don't speak Arabic and don't care, they want to translate it. Intifada means rise up. Right. We don't like it, so we're going to call it extremist. And then, of course, the one that was scandalized is the symbol of a cut watermelon. Their issue is that if you have a Palestinian kind of affiliation to the land that was originally Palestine, attributed, you know, to say that, you know, we want this land to be Palestine, with the colors of, the irony here is it's not even the flag, right? The watermelon symbol has been used when the Palestinian flag was banned. So they're also banning the symbol that relates to the flag. That's even a step further. So in a sense, people have said they've kind of criminalized the watermelon. They haven't really. What they're saying is that they already see, throughout this report, what they already see is that symbols of fighting for Palestinian freedom is extremism. And so they're taking it a step further, because the watermelon represents Palestine, and putting it on the map symbolizes, you know, no Israel. They have not produced one single actual anti-Semitic trope. Everything in this report is implied. You have to believe that Palestinians fighting for freedom and self-determination are extremists. It tells us more about the Verfassungsschutz as the extremists. The Verfassungsschutz does not believe that Palestinians are equal to Israelis. They do not believe that anti-Zionist Jews exist. They believe that it's okay if they, you know, synonymously use Israel as the Jewish state and ignore anti-Zionist Jews. If we're looking at this report and what they've said and all of the non-factual things, that the Verfassungsschutz is actually anti-Semitic because of that conflation. And they described it. They're the ones writing about the collective Jew, and they don't see that this is what they're doing. Who wrote this report? Who commissioned it? Whose money, whose interests are motivating the Verfassungsschutz to write this Hasbara brochure? And I hope people read this document, because it's it's an insight, and I think Germans should be very worried about the people running a very important agency that actually takes decisions and actually affects lives. So a little bit of accountability and scrutiny will be beneficial to all of us.